Good morning, everybody.
Tere hommikust, Euroopa! Good morning, fellow students and teachers of Europe.
Buongiorno a tutti, good morning everybody. My name is Milan Chiara and I'm the representative of the Italian school Erasmo da Rotterdam.
I would like to greet you all in the name of the Slovenian delegation and express our sincere gratitude for being here today.
We are from Austria, a small country between Germany and Italy.
We want to underline that there are no kangaroos, only kulimus.
You may wonder why we are wearing these silly hats. It's the pixie hat, and in Danish we call them nissehuer. Christmas is a big tradition in Denmark, and we wear these hats in December.
Being here today is a privilege and a memory we will cherish, as well as an important personal experience for us. We are lucky enough to have this freedom of voicing our opinions as young members of democratic societies. We would like to use this value to create awareness of topics which we consider important. Thus, we are grateful to be given the opportunity to give our input to the European community while proudly representing our college and our country. Thank you, and I hope you'll all have a great day. Or as we say in Maltese, Yalla jkollkom ġurnata mill-isba.
In the land of Ali Baba, near the sea of Babali, lived the man who played the zither with the pronoun on his knee. He would dance among the fuzzy trees and bring the birds to life. And his name was Prince Bass Fiddle, and he loved his ugly wife.
The European Union was founded to guarantee peace and prosperity in our continent, and we have maintained a commitment to protecting human rights here and all over the world. These goals are more important than ever, and only together can our voice be heard in the world of the 21st century. So it is up to us, the peoples of Europe, to realize that we can and we must take an active part in creating a better union that can contribute to creating a better world. That is what we are here to do, so let us enjoy. Thank you.
Vedela bi komu mám ručku dať.
Please allow me to welcome all of you here in the European Parliament this very morning for a couple of minutes or maximum for the duration of an hour. I'm going to be your host.
Do you feel that smaller countries have less of a say in this parliament, or is this not a problem here? Thank you.
I'm coming from a small country, okay, not too small, but it's a small, medium-sized country. I don't feel that. I mean, I think that there is not only an equilibrium, but also a kind of positive inclination towards the small countries. Just try to imagine that the largest countries like Germany, United Kingdom or France, they are having a bit less than 100 deputies, whilst, for instance, Malta, I think they are having 6 or so. And I mean, proportionally speaking, the Maltese people are much better represented than the giant big ones. And when it comes to debates or even speaking time and many other facilities, I think that there is a complete equality. And it's not a matter of where you're coming from. I mean, it's up to the merits of your proposals or your ideas, what you put forward. So I think I don't feel myself as frustrated when I need to do or when I want to do anything at all. And everybody is really not only very polite, but also very attentive to the other one, and after a certain while, I mean, it doesn't matter where you are coming from. It's really, I mean, what is your value or the value of your intervention. So I can really confirm to you that minorities, if there are minorities at all in the classical sense, but the smaller countries, they don't suffer. I mean, it's quite okay.
So, the creation of the European Union, can we start thinking about in a global union? Thank you.
So, European Union is a nice word, but there are shortcomings, definitely, quite a lot of shortcomings. You have to understand that the European Union is a structure which is created for currently for 28 sovereign member states who really volunteer in working together. But sovereignty is on the top. There's no power above the member states. If a member state wants to do this or that, of course, you need to follow the rules, you need to respect the previous agreements and arrangements. You just can't kick off the rules as sometimes happens. And there are a couple of things where the European Union is very well ahead. I'll give you some examples. The internal market, even if it's also not truly completed, but still maybe the internal market is the best working system within the European Union. Even Schengen is satisfying its functions. But in terms of culture, for instance, you can hardly find anything which is common. Or in terms of agriculture, it's perhaps the best and the most appropriately designed common policy, I mean the common agricultural policy. But still, we are a bit backward in creating the common policies in terms of the environment, despite of the great success what has happened in Paris. Despite of it, the European Union is not having always a single voice for the globe. Sometimes, in trade issues, yes, then there is a single and common voice of the European Union. But for instance, what I was referring to at my introductory words, asylum policies. I mean, from 0 to 100. I'm quite a bit ashamed, you know, that, for instance, my country, I mean, Hungary, is rejecting everybody who seeks asylum. Everybody. No exception. I mean, I don't like it, but I mean, this is the decision of the Hungarian government. Whilst the German government receives and accepts everybody who is coming to the European Union. Now, from 0 to 100%, I mean, it's not a common asylum policy at all. So in this merit, the European Union is not having a single voice.
Do you believe that the Schengen Agreement is giving much more freedom to extremists and thus posing more security problems? Thank you.
According to the representative of the European Union for fundamental rights, he has forwarded a study. It is quite recently. It was not heavily dealt with in the press, but he, for instance, made some model approaches that what if we do Schengen a bit more complicated or less complicated, etc. So he has modelized the various instruments. And as a final say, he said that there is no practical correlation between our systems like Schengen or the famous PNR, the passenger name record system, which is going to be introduced here in Europe. So terrorism is moving ahead, unfortunately, on a quite different path than what we believe as instruments for the control of the move of the various people. So I think that we need to change paradigm in this whole sense, especially because those persons behind the last 10 years terrorist attempts or attacks, they were inmates or I mean, European-born people. It's nothing to do with Schengen and local. They were local ones in most number. So anyhow, this is what I said at first, you know, that we have less knowledge and less information compared to the ambitions of our technical arrangements like Schengen, etc. So it's a big, giant work still ahead of us.
Most of us all agree that the European Union is actually responsible for many factors. One of them is looking back to our past, I mean like due to historical colonization. Because we went to those countries such as Africa, such continents such as Africa, we took their natural resources and then we used them for our industries, took benefits from them and then made richer our countries, and their countries are now poor. And we also agreed that we should also help not because of our historical colonization, but also because Europe promotes democracy and democratic values, and it is important to help other countries and not only think of our European Union. And the most important question, the one where we had the interesting debate one, were the solutions. There are many solutions. We all agreed that education is a very important factor. We think that education controls the way of thinking of the population, and it is important. We also think that one of the ways of giving help is not only financial help, but also human help programs, like sending volunteers, maybe doing volunteering paid system, try to support entrepreneurs from the third world countries. And a very important issue is that we need to help them long term, not only short term, because as the word says, is not only it helps them, but it doesn't last. So we need to help them long term in issues such as education, health, and traffic. And finally, we agreed that we need to help them, but the help we'll give the third world countries needs to be proportional to our economical situation. And thank you.
Don't you think that by buying products from the third world, we are already helping them?
I personally think it's a sort of helping, but not all of us buy things from the third world. And actually, I think that, for example, for our products here in Europe, we usually tend to take their resources and to make our products. We usually manufacture our products in the third world because it's cheaper for us, and then important European brands use it, and we normally buy European products. I think not a lot of people buy things from the third world. It's a way of helping them, but they actually, I think they work in terrible conditions to make those products. So I think at least not only buying their products, but make their working conditions better would be a better idea. Thank you.
One of the topics that we discussed and decided on was that we all agreed that we need to create a better relationship between science and the people of Europe. There should be a science education that the EU should decide on, and the countries within the EU should adapt and take on. Moving on to our next point in unifying Europe. In a way of fighting radicalisation of religion, we should have compulsory religion education in school, so that we learn about different cultures, different religions. This would imply that you don't get stuck in your own point of view, and instead hear a lot of different opinions and get an understanding about what other people think. And also unify the level of education and its accessibility within the EU, so that undeveloped countries get the same quality education as the more developed ones. Also ensuring that global cities have the level of education like more off-countryside villages. This would all unify the EU and its people. Moving on, we want to ensure the power of the European Parliament in both a political and economic way. The EU should be able to take measures against national decisions that affect the entire EU, as of the question of Hungary, for example, closing its borders, directly affecting its neighbor countries. The EU should, in our opinion, be able to overrule the Hungary decision of closing its borders. Thank you.
You said that you would introduce compulsory religious education in schools. So my question is, how would you introduce it if there is a wide variety of different religions in some cities? For example, in Slovenia, we don't have all the communities. We have only Christian communities, and that's all. So my question is, how would you introduce compulsory religious education? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. For example, in Sweden, which is a Christian country as well, we have the compulsory religion science, and, well, you learn about what other religions mean, what the traditions are, and how they practice it. That means that you get an understanding for why they have their traditions and we have ours, and why there is a difference and how we can overcome that. And I do not think that it should be a problem just because your own country or region have a less diversity of religion. Because you would, like maths, you learn maths, but you don't always use all of it.
Well, we all agreed on one thing, that we know that we're living in an information era, and that means that there's way too much information, and a vast majority of it is either untrue, incorrect, or just a rumor to sell the newspaper or sell your website. So we reached the conclusion that it's a combination of different factors that need to be changed in order to make the problem go away or to ease the problem. So, and the first problem, or the first solution actually I would like to point out, is education. And I think it was our consensus that it all comes down to education to change the next generation. We learned about Finnish and Estonian experience of civics lessons, which are not an education of political theories, but rather developing your critical thinking and helping you to become a more active citizen. Because if you're a more active citizen, you care more about what's happening around you, and you're more aware of the problems. And it's one of the very, very important issues when selecting out the information that is true and that is needed for you. You have to care for the topic.
I have just one question. How would you awake critical thinking and opinion in educational system? Because I think educational system now is about learning theoretically stuff that are always the same, mostly the same.
Thank you. I will say that one of the really good things that I have seen in practice is debating. Really, you have a theoretical background, and then you have to discuss that topic. You have to be against or for it, but you also have to take into consideration the other parts' arguments as well. And I know that, yeah, mostly in the schools, facts and theoretical learning is mostly used, but from my own experience, I'd say it's changing at the moment. but of course it's a long process and it doesn't change overnight. Thank you.
I would like to begin by saying that instead of discussing about whether or not we should accept migrants or not, we should start by thinking about how we could accept them. So the main arguments the people usually in the countries have against accepting migrants are that there are no money to even help our poor people, there are no jobs for even our people, and many of the people of the different cultures are convinced that other cultures might have a bad influence on them, especially the minor nations of Europe might feel threatened about many people coming into their countries. So the first solution to the problem of not having enough money would be not giving the migrants any money at first place. So instead of giving them money, we should at first think about what we could give them instead of money. So we can give them, many of the countries can give them a place to live, opportunities to get a good education. There could be many charities through which the migrants could get clothes and food, etc. So if we do give them a decent job later on, or if we do integrate them into our cultures, they will work for us depending on the education they get, and in the end it is actually good for the country the migrants have migrated into. And it will really give a life to the economy of the country, and also if the migrants come to our countries, we give them education, they work for us, then it will make the working community bigger, because many countries in Europe have a problem of aging society, and this would also make this problem easier to solve.
I am Maria from Greece, and my question is how can the European Union help the immigrants and the refugees that come in Europe in search of a better life, but at the same time protect the Europe and its citizens from the terrorists that come along with the immigrants and the refugees?
Many of the terrorists, most of the terrorists actually, are not coming in with the migrants. That is a fact, that many of the terrorists have actually lived in Europe for a long time. They have been living here for their whole lives. And for the second question, that whether or not we should also help the people that are coming here only in search of a better life, I would say that that was my last argument. It was that we should help people to migrate, not depending on where they are from or what they are or what they're searching for. So we should help migrants come in. If they're, for example, if they already have a PhD, they should get a decent job in the country they're being accepted to.